If you're looking for advanced techniques on how to up your game in Premiere Pro, well, this video is for you. We are going to talk about how to import individual sequences into other sequences, how to consolidate all of your timelines with Simplify Sequence, and how to consolidate all of your projects in Project Manager so that you can send them off to other people and collaborate with ease. Let's get into the video. Internet, welcome back. It's Robert Teegarden here with another video. Today we are talking about advanced sequence techniques inside of Premiere Pro. Like I mentioned in the intro, we're going to talk about importing sequences into other projects. We're going to talk about simplifying your timeline, and then how do you package up everything nice and neat into a one little file so that you can send it off to other collaborators and work on your projects with Project Manager. If you're new here, welcome. I post content on a weekly basis on filmmaking tips and the business of being a creative. Without further ado, let's go into Premiere and we'll talk about what's going on. So what I've got inside of Premiere is a project that we're working on, and what I want to do first is simplify this sequence so that it's easier to understand exactly what's going on. Now, thankfully for us, there's a pretty cool feature. If I go up here and right click, I can go to Simplify Sequence, and it gives me the ability to name this particular sequence, and it gives me a bunch of different parameters that I can choose what's going to happen for this particular sequence. Now, as you would imagine, you kind of have some kind of nuances in your particular sequence that you want to be able to retain or capture. So it gives a bunch of different options for us to not kind of eliminate particular things in that sequence that we want, but keep the things that we do and make sure that we can consolidate that timeline into something that looks normal and not like this crazy heresy that's on my timeline right now, because we're kind of piecing together the edits as we go along. So what do I want to remove? I want to remove video tracks, audio tracks, or both. I'm gonna leave this as both, but oftentimes I'll just click video tracks because I'll have a bunch of different sound design and those sorts of things there. Do I want to eliminate any empty tracks? Meaning, are there gaps here on like V7, which obviously there's something right here in this little section there, but do I want to eliminate any empty tracks? They'll just delete them and bring things down. Do I want to delete any of the disabled or muted tracks? Anything that has graphics, disabled clips, transitions, offline clips, through edits, or clips with any particular label of color. Now, this one tends to be really cool for me. I think in particular, this area right here where I have all these nested sequences, because not only do I need the playthrough right here on the bottom, but I also don't want to delete anything that's over the top of them. So anything that has these particular clips or remove any of these sequence markers, it's a really effective thing. Now, I can also flatten multi-camera clips. If you haven't checked it out, I talked about a few different videos of multi-cam sequences and why I flatten sequences before rendering. Check those videos there. But basically what happens is in multi-cam sequences, it's constantly referencing all 3 or 4 or 5, however many cameras that you have in your particular multi-cam sequence. And it's going to be bouncing back and forth in the rendering, try to figure out which clip is the one that it should be choosing. If you flatten that sequence, it's faster to edit. So it gives you that option to do when you simplify this sequence here. So from this, all I have to do is click Simplify, and what it's going to give me is a completely flattened sequence retaining all of the layers and or clips or type of clips, the labeled clips that I indicate I want to be able to keep and I don't want it to actually destroy, right? So it's always a great thing, and what's great about this particular Simplify Sequence thing is that it's going to create a brand new sequence. It's not going to destroy what I have going on in this one. It creates a new one with an appendage down here, right? It'll tell me simplified over here at the bottom, as you guys can see. And so if I click Simplify on this particular sequence, you can see that it kind of smashes everything down the way that it's supposed to be, and it leaves only the clips on the bottom that are there inside of that particular edit. It's really nifty and a great way for me to send that off. That is Simplify Sequence. Let's talk about what I want to do if I need to import other sequences into my particular project. Now, you may have used some sort of importing sequence function before, but the way that I use this is when I know that I've worked on a project or worked with a client over time where I have previous projects and sequences that will be useful in the new sequence I'm working on now. The cool thing about this is that I can select individual sequences that I want, not the entire project, to be pumped into this new sequence or new project, and it brings all the relevant media along with it in a nice, neat little package so that I can kind of cherry pick the pieces I need from that old project, place them in the new one, and it ends up working out really well. In this project here, what I'm working on are a bunch of different ice baths that people have worked on, and I know that I have a project that I worked on in April that can work for this particular project as well. So I'm going to go through into my project window right here. I'm in the Essentials panel, the Essentials view in Premiere right now. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to Import. What it's going to ask me is what particular sequence. So I've navigated over to this sequence that I need here. I hit import and it's going to say, do I want to import the entire project, which you can do and kind of consolidate and build out different projects that way. But for this one, what I want to do is import just a selected sequence. So I'm going to hit this individual one in the middle here, and then I want to create a folder for imported items. And that's what I want right here. That's perfect for what I need, okay? So I'm gonna click OK, and what it's going to do right now is visit that directory. It's accessing where I am in my RAID system right now, and it's giving me all the individual sequences that are there. I went in and relabeled this one for the ice baths that I'm looking at. So that's the one that I want to pull in. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. It's going to do all of its wizardry and magic. And if we look back up here in the project window, we're going to see this folder with the exact sequence that I want. I can twirl down. You can see the individual sequences that I have. It brings in nested sequences and the media that I need in order to make that sequence happen. Pretty darn cool. If I double click on that, this is the exact sequence that I need. As you can see, these are original ice baths that I need right here. This is what I did beforehand before I wanted to show you fine people here in YouTube. So I have this sequence right here that, as you can tell, is going to go great with these cold plunges over here. So now that I have these particular things, what if I want to consolidate all of this stuff and punt it off to somebody else that I'm working with so that they can put their beautiful finishing touches on it? Let's talk about Project Manager. Now for this last project manager tip, what I want to do is go back to this other clip that we started where simplify sequence is concerned. Now in this instance, what often happens is I'm sharing projects back and forth between other collaborators. Now, whether that's a VFX artist, a colorist, a sound design, something like that, or I just want to take a particular sequence and I want to consolidate all of the media that I used in that particular sequence to be able to be moved into a different location. The actual file that I'm working on right now is pretty large. There's several terabytes worth of footage that we have, and there's a bunch of different edits, nested sequences, After Effects renders that are going on in this particular one. So it's getting a little sluggish. So sometimes what I can do, in addition to importing a sequence from our last example, I can consolidate these things in something that's called Project Manager, and it puts it in this kind of nice, neat little package with a pretty bow on the top, and I just love utilizing this function. But like I said, it's very helpful when I'm working with outside people and I need them to have the same media, but they don't need every single clip that we shot. Project Manager is the way to go. In order to do that, I go to File, I go down to Project Manager here, and it brings up this dialog as well. It's going to ask me up top, which sequence do I want to consolidate? And so we'll do this YouTube simplified sequence right here. It asks me a couple different things. If I want to consolidate and transcode into some sort of different format. So do I want to go from MP4 into ProRes? I can do that at the same time. It punts everything off into Media Encoder, transcodes those files, sends them over into an industry standard codec that everyone can work on with ease. I can do that, but usually what I end up doing is just collect files and copy them to a new location. It's going to ask me, where do I want that location to be? I hit browse, I comb through my directories as I need to, and I put it in that particular location. So that we can have that thing work, right? So let me just go up in here. We'll just put it in here for the time being so it's easier to find. If I need to calculate how large of a space that's going to be, I can hit calculate here. I don't want to do that right now because it takes a little bit of time, and we're trying to save some time on this video here. Exclude unused clips. I definitely want that because I don't need anything in this particular file or this folder structure per se that I'm not going to use in that particular sequence. Include audio conform files, include preview files, rename media files to match up in media clips. All of those things are standard default things. They work for what I need. And then I click OK. The operation requires this project to be saved. Should we save it? Yeah, please. By all means, go right ahead. And then it's going to analyze this project which takes a little bit of time, admittedly, especially depending on the size of the sequence that you're working on. But once it's done, as we'll see, we'll be able to go into Finder or Windows Explorer if that's what you're using. And you can see that everything has been consolidated into one folder that I can just upload into whatever my media transfer protocol system, Dropbox, WeTransfer, Frame.io, whatever you guys end up using, and then someone can pick it up and use it on that side. So let's check into Finder right now and see what that looks like. So we're here in Finder, and you can see that this copied K1 Speed Day is what I wanted to happen. And if I twirl down here, I can see that all of the different files that were used in that sequence are located here. Now, they're just kind of smattered together in that particular folder. It's not like they're organized in anything neat. And as you guys know that watch this channel, my OCD goes a little bit crazy in this particular instance, but you can see both the After Effects file, the Premiere Pro file, any of the audio preview, video previews are here. We have all of the different wave files and sound effects that were used, any of these at-source audios that were recorded in VoiceOver, all of the different media, both in cameras and audio are here, the cache folders, all of the different things are there and ready for me to send off. Now, what's cool is that if I look at what the info is on this particular folder, we're gonna bring it over here so we can see. I now know that this is 104 or 108 gigabytes, which is a lot less than the entire folder that I have for this project that we did, which is the 3-day shoot for 4 different videos. So you can see the helpfulness of this still large transfer to be made, but much less than what it actually is when we take that project in its entirety. So there you go. Those are 3 advanced techniques that we can use where sequences are concerned in Premiere Pro. If you liked the video, like the damn video. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for posting notifications. Let me know exactly what you think of these things, and have you heard of them before, and how do you utilize them in other ways that maybe I didn't mention? I'm always curious to learn from you incredible people out there as well. This is Teegarden with another video in the can. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.